This has never happened before. The most significant state theft and hostage-taking in the center of Europe. An attack ordered by the ruling authorities. What is happening right now? Russia is preparing a new invasion. Now democracy in Europe is under threat. How far is the Kremlin willing to go to hold on to power? Washington has unblocked trade with Russia. Have the shackles fallen, or is this just a temporary solution? We will reveal all the terms of the new maneuver. A loud split. NATO allies move from partnership to rivalry. Will the most powerful weapon break up the alliance? A dirty terrorist attack. Aliyev lashed out at the Iranian authorities. The army is ready to strike back. The president has given the order. Scandal in the capital. The meeting turned into a military protest. The security had to use force. The confrontation between Orban and Zelensky is reaching a new level. Budapest threatens a forceful scenario, Kiev responds in kind, and the EU is ready to pay for a truce. About these and other top events of Friday evening, March 6th. Thank you for being with us. Together we separate what matters from the noise. I am Alexei Bulakov, and this is NEXTA. We begin right now. Tensions are rising. A significant new escalation could happen directly in the heart of Europe. The Kremlin's allies seem ready to go all the way. Hungarian law enforcement detained employees of Ukraine's Oshad Bank who were transporting money and gold from Austria to Ukraine. According to Ukrainian authorities, we're talking about approximately $40 million, 30 million euros, and 9 kilograms of gold. 2 armored cash-in-transit vehicles were stopped on March 5th. Now, according to a source from the publication European Pravda, they are being held at the Hungarian Counter-Terrorism Center. Media reports say that the Ukrainian cash couriers were detained on suspicion of money laundering.
Today in Budapest, the Hungarian authorities have taken 7 Ukrainian citizens as hostages. The specific reasons for this action, as well as their current health status and the ability to contact them, are still unknown.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine called the incident an act of state terrorism and demanded the immediate release of the people and the return of the funds. Kiev has sent an official note to Budapest and intends to appeal to the EU, requesting an assessment of the actions of the Hungarian authorities. At the time of recording this video, Hungary had not officially commented on the situation. In the meantime, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine has formally issued a stern official travel warning to its citizens, advising them to refrain from traveling to Hungary, as it is currently absolutely impossible to guarantee their personal safety there. The diplomatic war is rapidly gaining significant momentum. Russia is preparing another invasion, a forceful intervention along with a coup d'etat, but more cautiously. Journalists are sounding the alarm about attempts at strong influence on the parliamentary elections in Hungary to help Viktor Orban stay in power. This was reported by the investigative project Visegrad, citing data from European security services. According to journalists, Vladimir Putin has assigned the operation to be overseen by the first deputy head of his administration, Sergei Kirienko. The plan involves the work of Russian political strategists and specialists in social media manipulation. Some of them may operate in Budapest under diplomatic cover. Media outlets also report that Kirienko continues to maintain contacts with certain organizers of the election campaign for Orban's Fidesz party. According to the investigation, the anti-Ukrainian rhetoric of the Hungarian Prime Minister creates a favorable environment for the spread of pro-Russian information campaigns. So, what do you honestly believe is going to happen if even this bet doesn't work out? Direct intervention? The deployment of the army? An all-out invasion? Or perhaps the declaration of martial law from the Prime Minister? Write your thoughts in the comments. I'm really interested to hear what you think. Here goes the first one. An American-Russian thaw or just a temporary solution to the problem? The US allowed India to buy Russian oil because of the war with Iran, but only for a short time. The head of the US Treasury says it's all because of Trump's policies, but it's not that the markets are on the verge of a crisis, quite the opposite.
The comprehensive energy agenda established under President Trump has led to oil and gas production reaching the highest levels that have ever been recorded in history. To ensure that oil continues flowing to the global market, the Treasury Department is now issuing a specifically designed temporary 30-day permit. This deliberately short-term measure will not bring any significant financial benefit to the Russian government, since it only allows for transactions involving oil that is currently stranded and immobilized at sea.
The license applies only to oil that was loaded onto tankers before March 5th. Such deliveries can be completed by April 4th. The decision is related to Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz following the start of the US and Israeli operation, through which about 20% of the world's oil supplies and up to 30% of LNG pass. India is especially vulnerable to supply disruptions since its strategic oil reserves would last for about 25 days, and around 40% of the country's imports come from the Middle East through the Strait of Hormuz. After the crisis began, Indian refineries urgently started searching for shipments of Russian oil with fast delivery times. Did a conflict in the Middle East really need to be started just to quietly lift sanctions from Russia? What do you think? The president of Azerbaijan, Ilham Aliyev, called the drone strike on Nakhchivan a dirty terrorist act by Iran and demanded explanations, apologies and punishment for those responsible from the government in Tehran. The deputy foreign minister of Iran reached out directly to Baku and urgently requested that Azerbaijan help evacuate the diplomatic staff members of the Iranian embassy who were stranded in Lebanon. I immediately gave the official order to provide full assistance and send a dedicated rescue plane for them. And in response to this humanitarian request, President Aliyev went on to state, he has officially instructed the armed forces to develop and prepare retaliatory measures. The country's Ministry of Defense also decided not to take Iran at its word and issued a formal call to immediately end, I quote, the blatant denial. A statement from the General Staff of the Armed Forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran that Iran respects the sovereignty of all countries. And in this regard, Iran's denial of attacks against Azerbaijan can in no way be considered acceptable. The Ministry of Defense says there were 4 drones and all of them operated precisely according to the coordinates. We talked about this incident with you. In the previous video, 2 civilians were injured there. All of Azerbaijan's security forces have been put on full combat readiness. Tehran rejects the accusations. The Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of Iran says that his country could only respond in such a manner, specifically if US or Israeli bases used for attacks against Iran were located on the territory of neighboring countries. Well, there are no such bases on the territory of Azerbaijan. NATO is facing a serious split. It seems very likely that a fierce dispute could arise between the allies. It concerns the most powerful weapon, nuclear weapons. Mark Rutte is now trying to mend this rift. The Secretary-General stated that the French president's remarks about nuclear deterrence are not related to doubts about the reliability of the United States. As an ally, in an interview with Reuters, he emphasized that Washington is fully committed to NATO.
And I know that already 7 or 8 NATO allies have started conversations now with the French. We will continue to do that also as NATO. So I really welcome this. It is leveraging more what France is doing. However, and we all agree on this, the ultimate supreme guarantor of our way of life, the fact that we have free media, free press, that we have elections, that we have our way of life regained, so hard fought after the Second World War, is in the end the United States nuclear umbrella.
To further reinforce and echo the Secretary-General's recent words, France has now officially and formally authorized the United States to utilize its strategic military bases located throughout the Middle East region. Let me remind you, President Macron delivered a speech on nuclear deterrence and announced plans to increase the French nuclear arsenal for the first time since 1992, and to stop publishing detailed data about its composition in order to increase strategic uncertainty. The President of France also presented the concept of advanced nuclear deterrence, proposing to EU partners the deployment of French strategic air forces and the conduct of joint exercises. Moscow is once again playing the gas card. Vladimir Putin has proposed that the government consider the option of immediately halting Russian natural gas supplies to Europe, without waiting for the new European Union restrictions to take effect.
It is possible that it would be significantly more beneficial for us to completely cease supplying the European market right now, to move into those markets that are opening up and establish ourselves there. And here as well, I want it to be perfectly clear, there is no hidden political motive behind this, but if they're going to shut us out in a month or 2 anyway, then it's better for us to stop on our own accord right now.
Putin also stated that the rise in gas prices in Europe is not due to reduced supplies, but to the emergence of premium buyers, against the backdrop of the crisis in the Middle East and the closure of the Hormuz Strait. The European Union has already approved a schedule for phasing out Russian gas starting June 17th. The ban on importing pipeline gas under short-term contracts comes into effect, and starting November 1st, 2027 for long-term contracts as well. Similar restrictions for Russian LNG will begin to apply from April 2026 and January 2027. At the same time, a number of EU countries, primarily Hungary and Slovakia, continue to actively purchase Russian gas via the Turk Stream pipeline and oppose a complete rejection of Russian energy resources. The EU is ready to help Ukraine restore the damaged Druzhba oil pipeline. According to Bloomberg, Brussels is considering allocating funds for the repairs. The pipeline's transit was halted after a Russian attack at the end of January. Restoring the operation of the oil pipeline could unlock the provision of a €90 billion EU loan to Ukraine, which is currently being blocked by Hungary and Slovakia. Funding for the repairs is planned to be allocated within the framework of an existing budgetary support program for Ukraine, and technical specialists are also expected to be sent. But Viktor Orban has already switched to a belligerent mode.
I want to make it clear, we will win and we will win by force. I will not be making any pacts. There will be no compromise. We will defeat them, we will break the oil blockade, and we will force the Ukrainians to resume supplies. Not through negotiations, not through compromise. We will achieve this by force.
The president of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, commenting on Budapest's demand to inspect the condition of the pipeline, stated that he does not recall ever asking to check partners' warehouses for missiles for air defense systems.
We truly hope that none of the member states in the European Union will block the €90 billion, or at least the first tranche of that 90 billion. We also hope that the courageous Ukrainian warriors will be provided with the weapons they require. Otherwise, we'll give this person's address to our people. To the armed forces, to our brave guys, let them give him a call and talk to him in their own language.
That's quite a strong statement, and if one wishes, it could be interpreted as a threat. And there's no doubt that such a desire definitely exists. Russian propaganda channels are already publishing such interpretations. Scandal in the capital. Dull hearings were suddenly interrupted by a loud military protest. U.S. Marine Corps veteran Brian McGuinness interrupted a Senate Armed Services Subcommittee hearing by shouting anti-war slogans.
No one wants to fight for Israel!
Capitol police officers escorted him out of the hall, after which a scuffle broke out in the corridor. According to media reports, McGuinness's hand got caught in the door during his detention and was broken. He was later arrested on charges of assaulting 3 police officers, resisting arrest, and unlawful demonstration. Before the hearing began, Marpek posted a short video online explaining what brought him there.
Hey guys, I'm here in DC trying to speak out against the Senate and ask them why they're going to send our men and women to harm's way when our elected officials said that there would be no war. Anybody who feels disillusioned and betrayed by our government, you're not alone. Join us in demanding accountability for this betrayal. Free Palestine, free America. Let's go.
The incident took place against the backdrop of protests against the U.S. military operation against Iran. Just to be sure, Reuters verified the footage of the incident by comparing it with the official broadcast of the session and archival images of the Capitol. The video is authentic. In the previous episode, we reported that a new country is entering the war with Iran. Troops are moving to the border. This is already going beyond the limits. NATO is invoking Article 5, disrupting the ground operation. Who disrupted the resistance's plans? For the first time since World War II, a historic strike at sea. A sharp escalation. Iran launched a missile at a NATO country. The regime's main post is still not occupied. The American press refutes the Iranian. Watch it if you haven't seen it yet. See you tomorrow.